Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discover Rising Tides, How the Outside Makes the Inside Better. I am Jeanne Gallagher, and I'm here with our longevity concierge, Denise Stegall. Hey, Denise.
Hi, Jeanne. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. And we're working through the happiness and joy segments. And we've talked about so many great, well, you have so many great hints for people that are simple and easy to achieve. And there's one more that we might not even consider would be necessary to think about. What's this one? This is important.
So this is important. When it comes to joy, menopausal women struggle to find joy. Now, when I say menopausal women, I am talking about women probably 40, maybe closer to 45 to about 65. These are women that are experiencing symptoms. And a lot of them don't even know they're having symptoms. We think hot flashes and irregular cycles are kind of like the first signs of menopause, but they're not. The earliest signs actually have nothing to do with that, but they have everything to do with anxiety, loss of joy. Why? Mood swings, irritability, the night sweats and things that happen. Yeah, that really does happen. But the truth is really, your brain is changing as well. So
those physical things are easy to recognize.
Right.
We're talking about what you're talking about is the, well, almost non-physical. It's mental, right? But it's non-physical. So we're not sweating. We're not doing all of these things that we go, oh, that's what it is. Oh, that super sucks.
Right.
It's our habits are changing, and what we consider normal is different than what it was 10 years prior.
And the anxiety and the mood swings, that actually is a perimenopausal. Those are really perimenopausal symptoms. So a lot of times, especially nowadays, women are having children a little bit later, right? Not so much in the Midwest where I live, but on all of my friends on the coasts, they had children later. One of my closest friends, she was 38 when she had her last child. And when we consider that progesterone starts dipping at 35, she was already perimenopausal, right? So these are symptoms that women are having from the time they're 40, and it may never really get better because they're not understanding that it is a effect of estrogen starting to decline, right? Estrogen regulates our moods, it regulates our emotions and our brain function. When we talk about brain function, more and more we're talking about cognitive function in the way of Alzheimer's and dementia. But our brain is functioning all the time now. And your brain is different when the serotonin, the dopamine, and the cortisol levels all start kind of getting wonky. Right? Yeah. Yes, we know as we get older, estrogen and progesterone are dropping, but the hormones, the other hormones that come into play here that really affect our happiness and joy are serotonin. There's that happiness, the happiness hormone. Dopamine, which is a motivational booster. This is one of those that kind of drives us to do the things that we loved. And we've talked about that in another segment where, someone doesn't even know what they like to do anymore.
Yeah.
That's not just something that, it's actually a physical thing that's happening to them because they may know, but they just don't have the drive that they used to have. The other one, of course, is cortisol. Estrogen kind of keeps cortisol in check. So if that's dropping, your cortisol levels are kind of bouncing around, but they're getting higher and higher. And again, as we go through menopausal years, that's when the sweats come in, and the erratic sleep. And if we're not sleeping, our cortisol levels are going up even more. If your stress hormone is going crazy, is going through the roof, it's really hard to find a place where happiness and joy lives.
That makes sense. And this is an important topic to touch on for people to hear, because there's more conversations about menopause than there ever has been. However, when you're connecting the happiness, joy piece to it, doesn't usually come into conversation.
No, and it's absolutely connected. And this is one of the challenges that most of us have when we go to a doctor. Even our OBGYNs, they're not trained in menopause. You know,
They're not trained
they
in
hear
happiness.
they're definitely not trained in happiness. Let's be real. You know, a doctor's job is to fix you when you're broken,
Right.
right? And if there's something like your mood and, you know, make possibly some anxiety, they want to fix that, right? And how do they fix that? They fix it by giving you an antidepressant. And if you've ever read the package insert of an antidepressant, years ago, I worked for Eli Lilly Pharmaceuticals, and I sold Prozac to physicians. I guess I didn't really sell it. I offered it. That was my job. Right? Prozac was one of the products that was in my repertoire. And for those people who have true diagnosed depression and anxiety, these are great medications. If the challenge with your moods is because your estrogen and progesterone levels are declining, the antidepressant is not going to help you. It's actually going to make it, or can make it, worse.
That's going to mask it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any of that unexplained and anxiety, I've never experienced this, the anxiety piece. Like, that's not something. My sister, on the other hand, every now and then she'll say, you know, like she kind of felt like she was having a panic attack. And I was like, why? You know, this was before I understood what was really happening. And I'm like, she talks in front of people all the time. Why this day was she having a bit of a panic attack? Ah, well, you know, she was 48 years old. You know, hormones can do a little funky thing. So, you know, it's really important to, and this again is where I'm going to come up with journaling. We love journaling, don't we, Jeanne?
Well, it's a necessary evil for some of us. And for some of us, it's
Yes.
a necessary love. I challenge with it, but I'm trying to embrace it more.
This is where,
Maybe that's why I keep talking about it, because I'm trying to convince myself that I should be doing it more, because I know it's good and I know it has a purpose.
but you just said something. I know I should do it. If it's something you should do, it's not something you enjoy. Maybe there's a
Right.
better way to do it.
Ah, there we go. We can find that. And if anybody's listening has a suggestion, send it this way.
Yes. Anyway, back to the point of that I want to make. If you're noticing this, like all of a sudden, you know, you're starting to notice, you know, your mood swings are a little funky. You're irritable more often than not. You have your loss of motivation. You know, your joy is just gone, and you feel disconnected to the people you love and the things that you enjoy doing. This is a conversation to have with a professional. It's a
Yeah.
conversation to have with somebody like me as a coach, because I understand where you could be, what could be going on, and I could then direct you in a way that of just a regular doctor, just kind of going to your PC. They're not going to really know how to help you. I can help you write the answers, or write the answers, ask the questions to your doctors that are going to help you in the best way.
And what's nice
So,
is there's not the shame of asking for help now that there used to be 10 years ago.
absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, menopause is stressful, aging is stressful. You know, we for men and for women, you know, every couple of years there's something else going on, right? But I do believe that there is a way for us to better understand what's going on take control of it, reclaim our energy, reclaim our sense of self, most importantly, our sense of joy.
Great. Denise, thank you as always. And
Oh, you're
Denise will bring you happiness and joy. If anybody needs a little shot of that, get in touch with Denise because she has great tips. And thank you so much for these segments.
Thank you. It's always a
Hello, everyone. This is Jeanne Gallagher, Discover Rising Tides, and I want to just take a moment to talk about my friend, Denise Stegall. I am honored to call her as a friend, and I'm so grateful that she gives us her insight during our shows each show and talks about healthy living, eating real food. You hear Denise say, eat real food a lot. Well, she means it, and she knows what she's talking about. She is an amazing healthy living coach, curator at Living Healthy List. And if you ever have any questions about what is real food, why does it matter, how does that apply to me, how do I change, what do I need to do, how do I even create a healthy living shopping list, make sure that you call her. She is your healthy living coach, and you can find her at healthylivinglist.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discover Rising Tides, How the Outside Makes the Inside Better. My name is Jeanne Gallagher, and we're glad that you're here. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform and you'd like to see our happy faces, jump on over to YouTube and make sure you like and subscribe, and glad to have you there. So today I'm excited to introduce to you Mary Farias. And Mary, before we get started, give us a little bit about your background and then we'll dive in.
Yeah, well, my background is started when I was a highly competitive gymnast for a long time and a gym owner for a few years too. So I spent 35 or 37 years in a gym, really. And then I also became a book publisher and a writer, obviously, and a personal development consultant. And now I have a podcast on KFRED called Economy Creators. And I absolutely love helping people see how they can believe in themselves and live the life they want to live. It's really what it comes down to for me.
Wow, how did you make it from gymnast to this?
Well, good question. Gymnastics really was we'll call it the springboard of personal development for me because I was always finding little quotes to inspire me, and I plastered my closet doors with them, and I opened up my closet and I saw something like a success quote, and that helped me to stay motivated. I was the highest level in my gym for quite some time. And so I had to find ways intrinsically to motivate myself because it couldn't come from my teammates as much, right? And so it really pushed me into a leadership role at a young age. And as I moved from club gymnastics to college gymnastics to coaching gymnastics, I found myself really researching and finding different ways that I could lay a foundation of growth for my gymnasts and the coaches that I led as well. And so it really turned into a personal development path. And but I really noticed, Jeanne, that I was different than my teammates because I wasn't necessarily as talented as a lot, especially in college, as a lot of those athletes, but I had a different perspective of the sport, and I really didn't know why I was so different. I chalked it up to I chalked it up to my coaches who were quite positive in that realm, but I realized once I encountered Bob Proctor that I was an unconscious competent, really working with these principles and owning my mind in a way that other people weren't naturally doing. And so that really made me excited about personal development. And so it really just evolved after COVID. We closed our gym, and it was one of those things where I could have stayed, and I mean we had it for 9 years. I could have stayed another decade and built it back up, but I already did that, and it was time to
Mhm.
move on and time to do something new. So that's where I'm at.
One thing that I heard is, and um, I was going to say not normal, but that's not necessarily the right term either. There's a self inner motivation that you seem to have developed somehow within yourself, and whether gymnastics gave it to you or you brought it to gymnastics, it's there because I don't know how many of other athletes that you were dealing with had this motivational piece inside of their locker that they're looking at to really self uplift to uplift themselves and find that next level, or that looking for that piece of positive encouragement. So I commend you for that because not everybody has that self drive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did notice that. And that was one of the things that did make me different.
Hmm.
I guess you could call it an overall positive attitude, but it was more than just a positive attitude. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah, no, and that's such a it's a unique skill, and it's so important, and it's interesting how your career pieces have evolved into what you're really meant to do.
Yeah.
And in it happens in life as well, as we all go through the course of life, and then we look back and we went, well, I wouldn't be here if, and I wouldn't be here if. But listening to that inner dialogue, and you be open enough to allow it to guide you to being where you are now, and creating this process and this program to help others in their self development.
Yeah. Yeah. And I, Bob Proctor really clarified it for
Hmm.
me, and
Hmm.
just taught the principles. And so I just said, I have to teach that
For
because it
anybody
makes
that's
sense.
not familiar with, but can you give us a quick summation of Bob Proctor? I'm semi familiar. I know of somebody else that had been through the program as well, but can you give the listeners just a taste of what that really means and brings to the table?
Sure. Bob Proctor is worldly renowned as one of the foremost teachers in human potential and growth. And he was a teacher inside the movie The Secret. And they were talking about the law of attraction in there, but it's so much more than attraction. It's deeper principles, essentially the Hermetic principles that he teaches, and teaches us how to own our minds. And he spent 61 years in his life reading and studying Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And
Mm-hmm.
also, he worked with Earl Nightingale, one of the foremost personal development gurus of the world. And he, he was on a mission to understand how he shifted his life. And he got to a point where he figured it out and kept learning, but he said, this needs to be taught to people.
Mm.
And he made it then his mission to teach people. And I became a consultant with him in 2021.
Oh, very nice, very
Mhm.
nice. And so, what foundation did that lay for you in creating your business?
Well, I had businesses before Bob Proctor and businesses after Bob Proctor. So,
Hmm.
so the before was I started my publishing company first in 2010, and I actually created that just so I could learn. Well, I wanted to publish my gymnastics books, and I wanted to learn how to be a publisher. And so I practiced on myself, really,
Hmm.
is how it worked. And then I opened the gym with my husband, and we had those businesses for almost a decade before Bob Proctor entered the world,
Hmm.
my world, I should say. And it was interesting because I bought into this is hard. Entrepreneurship takes, takes burning the candles at both ends, and it takes really, really balance out of your life, and you have to pay everybody else before you have to pay yourself. I mean, I bought into all of that, and I burned myself out, especially in the
Mm.
gym, because that was the place where I had to physically be. I could write at home, I could publish at home, and that was that. But the gym really highlighted how unbalanced my life was and how
Oh.
unbalanced my economy was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, I created my own jobs and yes, I created these opportunities for myself, but I was tied to them and
Mm.
I was really frustrated. And I felt that burnout that a lot of entrepreneurs do and a lot of people who work the 9 to 5 feel, because I didn't have time for the balance in my life. I didn't have time to go outside like you love. And
Mm-hmm.
I needed something different. And so when Bob Proctor entered my world, I realized that I could work smarter, not harder. I could
Mm-hmm.
utilize the laws of the universe, the principles, the law of cause and effect, and vibration, and all of these things that exist that we don't necessarily learn about and that we can't see. So it's not easy to ascertain necessarily. And what really helped me the most was coming into control of my mind and my thoughts because I had a good handle on that when it came to gymnastics
Mm-hmm.
and coaching, that aspect, but I didn't have a good handle on it for a lot of other things, right? And so being able to not just apply it to my sport, but apply it to my life was
Mm-hmm.
huge.
Yeah. And so when you're so focused on the sport or these items and then you're talking about burnout, is it partly because you're identifying yourself with the thing versus self-identifying in a more rounded picture? And because when people they're burned out in their job, maybe they're working 60, 70 hours a week, but that's all they're doing. There's no, you mentioned the word balance, and there's no balance to that piece either. And the importance of stepping back to look and analyze, how do I spend my time, or what's really important to me, and how does that play a part in how I'm feeling about my situation?
Yeah, that is huge because what I learned
Mm-hmm.
with Bob was that self-image sets our boundaries. The way that we see ourselves dictates what we achieve. And so I saw myself as successful in gymnastics for
Right.
37 years of my life. I didn't see myself as successful, period. Right. And
Right.
so my grades were awesome in school because of gymnastics. I needed a 4.0 to get to college. I needed to maintain my ability to compete. I needed to, so all of the things that I was achieving was under this gymnastics umbrella, which meant that
Mm-hmm.
that's how I saw myself. First and foremost, I was a gymnast. And once a
Mm-hmm.
gymnast, always a
It
gymnast.
was,
I mean, they literally say that.
yeah.
And this is why, is because I identified myself with that. And once I understood that I had to shift my self-image in order for
Mm-hmm.
my world to shift, that was the biggest lesson that I could have learned. And Jean, it wasn't easy. It took conscious
Mm-hmm.
effort and
Mm-hmm.
focus. And when my husband and I closed our gym, all the other gyms wanted to hire me in the city, and I said I had to say no, and I had
Mm-hmm.
to step back from that because that would have fed that old self-image again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I literally sat at a stoplight crying, saying, I'm never going to have a job like this again, a business like this that ties me to a place.
Mm-hmm.
And that I had to remember I
Mm-hmm.
had to remember that feeling. I had to remind myself that no, 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 no. Gymnastics was a piece of it. It was an important piece of it, but it's technically over. And now it's
Mm.
time to move forward.
Yeah, I can really appreciate, but also relate to that too, as a financial advisor, we are technically in the picture of, what you would think of as financial advisor. You have an office and you have this and you have this, and you are tied to that. And I was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 years into this 20 plus year career now. And I realized that I did not want to be identified, or I did not want my business, or not necessarily me, but I didn't want to be identified by the structure that seemed normal. And so how can I remain in this business that I love to help people, and I love this piece of the business, but how can I redefine what it looks like for me in order to be more flexible in my location, more flexible in how I manage and how I conduct my business. And it was really that self-defining moment that you're talking about, that, what do I really want out of this career? Or if not, if I can't find it, then is this career the one that's, after like the third one you have, at some point you got to nail something down.
Yeah.
But is this the one that I'm supposed to nail down for me? And it took a lot of transition, and it took a lot of thought and talking with other people and mentoring, and finding mentors, not me mentoring, but finding mentors and finding people. How do you do your business? What makes you different? How are you comfortable? And what do I want from all these different sources to mold into the thing that works best for me, so that I can expand and grow professionally, but also personally.
Yeah, and you know what? It takes that listening to that inner guidance, that inner
Mm-hmm.
voice when you say, "Ooh, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this," and then you have to start asking yourself, "Why don't I like this? And what's
Mm-hmm.
going to make this better?" Right? And so that was that is something that a lot of people don't do. They push that voice down and listen to the outside voices telling them, get a job and do this and stay here and have an office there and you can't leave. And
Mm-hmm.
and this is
Mm-hmm.
what it looks like and this is what you'll do and this is how long you'll work
This
and
is
then
what
you'll
you wear.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
it's
And
not.
uh-huh. And people listen to that outside voice way more than they
Mm-hmm.
listen to that inner guidance. And you sound like a wonderful economy creator, and I would love to have you on Economy Creators
Well,
because
I'm glad to. And that's a great little, I would glad to do that. Thank you very much. And that's a great little segue, because what I wanted to, you mentioned the word economy a little bit ago, but I wanted you to expand on that, because we all hear the word economy and then we're into the financial piece. But can you define economy as it applies to you and your mission?
yeah, absolutely. Bob Proctor always says you can create your own economy, and that always made me go, "Ooh, that sounds exciting," because I I would love to learn how. The idea behind economy creators is that we don't have to listen to the noise outside. We don't have to follow a prescription. Um, we don't have to go to school, get a job, do all those things that everybody tells us to do. Pay off your student loans and then retire and have no money, right? We don't have to do that. And the idea is that you do listen to that internal guidance, and an economy creator, someone who is creating a personal economy, not the outside economy, but a personal economy that does involve money, but involves also unique interests and talents and experiences, because we're all unique and we all have so many different experiences that we can bring to the table. So for me, for instance, I had gymnastics. That was a big piece. And then I welcomed in, I have 2 degrees in English. And so I started writing and I started publishing and I started doing all that. And then I learned, I felt like there was more. So there was this personal development piece that I really had to expand on. And then the more that I do all of this, the more that it's all combining together and it's built around me. And for so long, it was built around a thing. It was built around gymnastics. And now I've created this economy around myself, which has
Mhm.
made it expand exponentially. When it was just gymnastics, then it was the publishing company did gymnastics books and nothing else, right?
Mhm.
And then it was the gym, and that's all I could do because I couldn't. The only way I could travel was with a bunch of 12-year-old kids because that's the only time I had, right, to go to meets and things like that. And so there was no balance around a human. It wasn't even balanced. It was just around a sport, a thing. And I think a lot of people can identify with the thing, with the concept that their economy is revolving around either their job or this specific thing that they don't, that doesn't allow them freedom.
And that schedule piece, and then you're in that the rat race of get up, go to work, do your thing, somehow get to the grocery store, somehow manage your family, go to bed exhausted, wake up again and do that 5 to 7 days a week. And on the weekend, try to fit in all those other things. And all of a sudden, 10 years goes by and you have nothing, there's no sense of personal accomplishment to show for it.
Yeah, you just paid the bills and got it done, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes, that can lead to being financially secure, and that's great, but there's this piece of this balance and this piece of self-worth that's also important. It's easy for that piece to be set to the side because it doesn't bring a dollar figure to the household.
Hmm. That was a hard part to work through at the
Mm,
beginning because gymnastics always brought in the money. And
mm-hmm,
so it was our business. But so when I stopped, I had to say no to a lot of money.
mm-hmm,
And people saying, Mary, here, have a job, run our gym, right? And I had to say, no, I can't,
mm-hmm.
no, thank you. I have to be somebody new now, and that's hard when you're a part of a family and you want to contribute and you don't know how that's going to look yet. There's a lot of faith and trust and confidence that have to transpire and kind of be milked and nourished in order for that to happen. And I went through it and it wasn't comfortable. It really wasn't. And so I think I know why a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah, yeah, the uncomfortableness and that piece of uncertainty. And also, and especially if you're successful in the business that you are in, there's a component of potential failure that comes into play, whether in you can define that failure piece or the lack of success piece into many different categories, but how we internalize that ourselves creates this beast of a lack of, it takes the motivation away, and it also it's just it stops that driver of change.
Yeah. It really does. And it can if you allow it to.
Mm-hmm,
And that's why I teach my clients to have a really clear vision of what you
mm-hmm,
want to create so that you can show up like that person, because that's what I did for myself is I created, okay, well, I'm not a gymnast anymore. So what am I going to be? And what am I going to do? And how does this look? And I had to feed that new identity rather than the old one.
it's so powerful when you take your life experiences and go through those and in the trenches and go through that yourself, and being able to recognize all of the feels that happen, good or bad, and the challenges that happened, and then be able to um, recreate that, not recreate, but recreate that process in a package, that is so effective for other people.
Yeah, and what you said in the trenches, and I really believe in being a leader who leads by example. And so I do use lots of examples from my life
Mhm.
because that makes me relatable to who I'm teaching. And it also tells them if she could do it, so can I, and that's a big piece. And I can also tell them, look, this helped me and this didn't, but it doesn't mean it won't help you. So you can try that too, you know, and having tried all the stuff and having lived through those experiences makes me able to help more people. And that was the same in the gym too. I was a high level gymnast and a Division I athlete. And so when I had all my gymnasts, they came to me not only for, you know, technique and advice on that, but also how do you get through this mental hurdle? Because it's scary and I don't know how to do it and I'm not confident in myself. And, you know, all those other things that you don't learn in a book.
Yeah. And you can't learn in a book. It has to be the school of hard knocks for that one.
Mhm.
Who are your typical clients?
My typical clients now are entrepreneurs and authors, and authors come in a few different categories. They're people who are either looking to write a book or they already have a book and you know they launched it to nothing, crickets, because they were so wrapped up in the book part
Mhm.
that now it's out there and they don't know what to do. So I help people promote their books and help them create an economy around that type of concept. But I also love helping entrepreneurs in general. I think authors are entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
but entrepreneurs in general because I came from an entrepreneurial family. My husband came from an entrepreneurial family. He has a business on his own. I have two businesses. We had a business together. And so it's our lifestyle and to help people understand that there's more than just the slogging through and that yuck. There's more to
Mhm.
it that you can do and you can see it in a different way. And I love helping people create what I call an authority asset around their business. So, like an ebook, for instance, that highlights their authority that they can share with people, and that just gives them a little bit more of an edge to
Mhm.
what they're doing.
What are when people are say, geez, I really think that Mary's going to be the right fit for me, what are they typically looking for? Or what are some of the indicators that you are a great fit for them?
Well, I would say that it's a lot like where I was 10, 15 years ago, where I was in it, but I
Hmm.
felt like there was more to it, right? There was
Hmm.
something more that I wanted to do. And what I'm finding is the people that I'm attracting are that version of me back in the day where they're like, yes, I know kind of what I want. I'm doing sort of what I want, but there's this pull that I want to do more, but I don't know what it is and I feel kind of stuck and I don't know exactly where to go and what to do. And I can help people clarify that.
Well, that's great. That's fantastic. And what is the process like when you're working with them and one-on-one in groups, or how does that work?
Well, there's a combination, but I love groups because of the mastermind concept.
Hmm.
Napoleon Hill and his mentor, Andrew Carnegie, were huge on the idea of masterminding, bringing our minds together to create a third mind that really could solve the problem or move people forward and do different things. And so I love masterminding and helping people come together in order to grow because that makes us all stronger. I didn't always believe that. I had to learn that. And
Hmm.
it came from being in such an individual sport and for so long, I think, and being just in my own world. I went to school, but then I went to the gym for 25 hours a week. And, you know, so I had to really be reliant on myself. And so that carried into adulthood. And I had to learn to let people in.
Hmm.
And now I think I see the value in it, and I'm trying to help people see the value in that as well, because part of entrepreneurship is feeling like I can do it. That's why I'm doing this, right? I can do it myself. But I've found that people are necessary. And
Hmm.
so I really help them with with groups, but also individually on a similar trajectory as one another, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And I can appreciate the group piece too, because I've always been, well, um, I'm I non-conform. I don't always do well in groups, and
Mhm.
I kind of speak my mind, which is great used correctly. And it was just before COVID, and I was working with a business coach, and she's just a dear person, and she's so talented, and she was doing this kind of a mastermind based coaching piece. And so I was in this group with people that had nothing to do with the career field that I'm in at all. Totally different. Some of them were one was actually a screenwriter. One was I can't even remember. There was 4 or 5 of us in this group, and personalities were really different. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to get out of this? Which is the wrong thing to think, number one. So I had to figure that out first, and let it be, and the trust of the person engage running the group. And I learned something in that group that changed my business, and it was only this big. But I learned it, and whether the group gave me the opportunity to look at my habits, or listening to their work habits or what they were doing triggered something. I can't tell you exactly what it was, but there's just one little item that I learned. And it was just before COVID. And it was the perfect time and the perfect thing. And it happened like it was supposed to. And I've always been grateful for that. But I would not have, honestly would not have figured that out on my own.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
wasn't some
absolutely.
earth-shattering, new, fancy, shiny thing. It was just a one little habit,
Well,
one little
and
activity.
that's how it works, because when we're focused on something, what we focus on grows. So if you're focused on this isn't working, that's going to grow.
That's going to happen.
But if you're focused on how can I take that and apply it to my business, and how can I
Hmm.
take that and apply it to what I'm learning, and how can I take, and once you open your mind like that, then
Hmm.
you're open to those suggestions, and you're gonna notice them. They were there the whole time, but you're gonna notice them, and then you're going to apply them. It's when you're open-minded enough. And I had to learn that the hard way.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Again, hard
I can
knocks.
appreciate that. But it sticks better.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh, so tell me about your podcasting piece. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, economy creators. It's pretty new. I started at the beginning of this year,
Mhm.
and I am spotlighting economy creators, people who are creating a personal economy around their interests and talents and experiences. Um, because these people have courage, and they are doing things differently. I mean, you talked about being a nonconformist, and it sounds like you're a perfect fit for economy creators. And we I just love talking to people who are making it happen when they didn't follow the rules. And I think it's a lot of fun. And they're actually making rules and sharing new rules with people, that this is how you can do it. This is what it looks like if you listen to that inner drive. And if you say, "Ah, I don't want to listen to that outside noise. I want to listen to me, and I want to do what I love." And what
Mhm.
I've found is that when people do what they love, the money comes, the opportunities come, everything falls into place.
Yeah, and what you're doing, you might think you love what you're doing, but there's components of it that you don't love, and the don't love pieces are louder than the do love pieces. And so this is just for me speaking, but in trying to embrace and figure out how to let the do love pieces flourish. And yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah. And what I found too is when I first started hearing that pull for something more when I owned the gym, I thought that it had to happen within those 4 walls, right? Because
Mm.
my self-image was wrapped up in gymnastics, and
Mhm.
that was as far as I could see. Um, And so I thought my growth had to occur inside of gymnastics.
Mhm.
So my goal was to change the entire gymnastics industry and make it safe for kids again, and all of this. And I was taking on, in my mind, quite a lot. But then when I really opened my mind up to the idea that it might not be the gym, Mary, it might not be that, right? And so COVID actually allowed me to go, there might be more, you
Mhm.
know? And
Mhm.
so that we could sit here and blame COVID for a lot of things over and over and over again. I know I did for a while at the beginning because it shut my business down, it shut everything down. And I felt like I couldn't move. And then once things could start happening, they could start happening again, I was like, you know what? This isn't how I need to move forward, And I
Mhm.
think there's something more outside of the gym. And that was a huge aha moment that I didn't have to be confined to that
Mm.
self-image anymore and to that sport anymore. And it's not that I don't dislike it. It's that it's still a part of me, but it's a part of me. It's not
But it's
me.
also confining.
Oh, yeah, it was
Mhm.
if I thought within those parameters,
Yeah.
So if I only thought that I was a publisher, a book publisher, I wouldn't be on I wouldn't have a podcast.
Mhm.
I would be writing books and publishing books. And so my economy really flourished when I was able to open my mind up to outside of gymnastics. The same thing happened to me recently. I have a membership inside of my business, and I was trying to grow myself inside of my membership. And
Mm.
once I thought about growing outside of my membership with economy creators, there's actually an anthology that I have 11 co-authors that we're writing a book together, and that'll be published at the end of this year. That's a piece of economy creators. Obviously, the podcast and radio show on KFred is a piece of that. And I've got a workshop and I've got a quiz and I've got more books of my own that are in the works. And so once I started thinking outside of my membership, kind of
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
outside of the gym, things started to balloon. And it's remarkable how when we expand our mind, things fill it up.
Mhm. Yeah. And change can be the uncertainty of change can be frightening and limiting, but and I think that that's the importance of the work that you're doing when you're helping other entrepreneurs or authors or whoever that happens to be, is to step through that scary part and figure out which parts are the that either will emotionally or physically provide what's really needed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you mentioned balance, and we've talked about all these things that you do. And you're giving to others and helping others. And what does Mary do to put this whole piece together? Because a lot of people talk about balance and they talk about doing all of these things and they tell other people to do it, do as I say, not as I do piece. But I know that that doesn't apply to you because you are really taking care of yourself as well. And what does that look like?
Oh, that looks like heaven on earth. So I have two horses,
Mm-hmm.
and they're boarded at a barn down the road. And I homeschool my daughter, and so she and I go to the barn every morning, and we ride our horses, and we get that horse fix that we all
Mm-hmm.
love. What's wonderful about it is that that was something that I loved horses ever since I was a little kid, and we had 80 acres, and my sisters had horses. They're quite a bit older than me, and I just wanted a pony so bad. And so that was a drive for me for a long time. And when you're doing a sport for 20, 25 hours a week, you don't really have
Mm-hmm.
time to ride a horse. So I kind of put horses on the back burner for a while. But that calling always came back to me. And they people say, all little girls want a horse, and you just have to grow out of it. But I honestly believe that I've been given desire to be around these horses because they're a part of me that needs to be balanced, right? So
Mhm.
they ground me. We all
Mhm.
have something that grounds us, and maybe it's hiking, and maybe it's water skiing, or maybe it's swimming, or maybe it could be anything, but you have to listen to what grounds you. Could be yoga. But horses do that for me. And they are magnificent, and I feel so good when I'm with them. And when I decided to welcome them into my life for real and say I want to buy a horse, this is what happened, Jeanne. It's so amazing. I physically set aside 3 hours in my calendar every single morning, and I put horses. It was on my computer. It was in my calendar. Within a week, somebody came over to me and said, "Do you want to buy this horse?" And I was like,
Oh my gosh.
"Yep." And so all of a sudden, I was at the barn every morning with this new horse. And so that it's with that desire combined with intention,
Mhm.
marvelous things can happen. And as soon as that happened, I was like, "Ah, this is home. This is where I have to be."
What does it bring to you?
What does it bring to me?
Mhm.
It brings peace. It brings this sense of, oh, I love the fact that my daughter, she's 15, has that sense of responsibility over this beautiful creature that she's in charge of, right? She has her own horse. It brings me balance in my life. So I go to the barn every morning and then I come and do my work at home.
Mhm.
And then tomorrow morning I'm at the barn and then I level out. And so it really brings that grounding to me. That's the
Mhm.
best way I can describe it.
Yeah, a centering that just makes everything okay.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I didn't
fantastic.
have that with the gym because I was at the gym all the time.
Right. Well, there's this level of needing to achieve. Whether you're the athlete or you are the trainer or the coach of the athletes, there is this constant stimulation of needing to achieve.
Yeah.
And that stimulation can be so important, but it can be also so draining, and we don't even realize how draining that is. But like you said, that centering and that piece of balance, that there's no expectation, and the the horses are bringing you more than you realize, well, not
Yeah.
more than you realize, but more than people realize too. And there is that piece of that grounding that happens, but you're stepping into something that you love, but that's also in an area that you don't have to be better than somebody else that's there.
Oh, I know. That's a huge part of it because people are because we're hunter jumpers, and so the idea of showing is a thing, and I'm like, nope, I've competed my whole life. I don't have to. This is wonderful. Just let me be. And
Mhm.
the other piece of it too is something that I wasn't able to have as a part of my life for so long is being outdoors. And I know that that's something that you value, and that I believe is a huge piece of it because when I was in the gym, I was in the gym. There were
Right.
four walls. There was, yeah, there might be a door, but come on, there's not a window to look out and no birds to listen to and no breeze
Hmm.
and no trees, so having that outdoor centering horse thing is
Hmm.
really, really huge for me.
Mm. Yeah, I can appreciate that, and that being able to unplug. We're so
Hmm.
plugged into everything.
Yeah. My
that
clients know, oh, she's at the barn.
Exactly. And that's okay, because now you're setting that example of what you're teaching. You're
Hmm.
setting the example that said, this is what I do, this is when I'm not available, and this is why. Because I'm telling you that you need to figure this out, but also you're walking the walk, and here's how I'm doing this. And you're leading by example, and I think that that's incredibly important.
Yeah, thank you. I really value leading by example, and that's something that leads me as a leader, right? And
Mhm.
I can't, this went way back into the gym too. I never asked anybody to do anything that I wasn't willing to do myself or hadn't done or tried, right?
Mhm.
And it's the same now.
That's fantastic. So Mary, where do people find you?
Ooh, they can find me on Facebook, Mary Farias. I have a little blue check mark. Also on LinkedIn, same name, Mary Farias. I have a YouTube channel, Magnet Mind. I have www.magnetminddevelopment.com or irisbluepublishing.com. They can find me in either of those places. And right here on KFred also.
Fantastic. It's been such a pleasure to talk with you, and I look forward to continuing in other conversations that we can have. Thank you so much for sharing so much about your background, but also how you're helping others. I so much appreciate it, and I know the listeners do too.
Thank you so much, Jeanne. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening today. Today's show was sponsored by Seaside Solutions, my financial services company. As a business owner, it's easy to be pulled in many different directions, and often taking care of yourself plummets to the bottom of the list. For me, I find myself outside to reground. My time outdoors helps me manage my day more effectively and be more present for my clients. Through this, Discover Rising Tides was born. At Seaside Solutions, we truly believe that education is the foundation of financial wellness. Our primary focus is to provide guidance that is designed to help you achieve your long-term financial goals and visions. Working with a plan allows space for doing more things that you love, like being outside to make the inside better. If I can help you create or realign your plan, or if you would like to be added to my weekly newsletter, please let me know. This week's topic was 5 ways to set more achievable goals. Your referral means the big, beautiful world to me, and if I can help, please let me know. And thank you so much for listening, and see you next time.